Hello my viewers and welcome back to my channel. I welcome you to this explosive discussion where my fellow black brothers and sisters are firing back at former President Barack Obama for his recent comments on voting. Now, in a shocking turn of events, Obama's words have ignited a fierce backlash, with many accusing him of trying to shame black men for voting for Donald Trump. Now, one boldly declares, "I didn't vote for you either time. I saw right through you." He challenges Obama's authority, likening his comments to a modern-day slave master trying to pull his people back to the plantation. Now, another sister passionately asserts, "You do not own black people. We're not slaves. Our chains are gone." Now, this sentiment resonates deeply as it highlights the frustration many feel about being policed in their political choices. It's as if Obama is campaigning for himself rather than for Kamala Harris. And this raises important questions about loyalty and accountability within our community. Plus, I want to touch on Celestia's intriguing prophecy about this very situation. She prophesied about what is going on, what is happening right now. If you are interested in that, if you want me to share that video, then let me know in the comments down below. But with that said, let's check out these videos as different people share their thoughts on his speech. I will be right back.
My, have the tides shifted? Are you kidding me? Barack Obama. I didn't vote for you either time. I saw right through you back then. And unfortunately, so many of my black brothers and sisters, my own family, they couldn't see through you. But now they can. You coming out trying to shame black men into voting for Kamala? Are you freaking kidding me? You sound like a slave master trying to get your slaves back on the plantation. Well, Barack Hussein Obama, I always appreciated the fact that Obama, as an acronym, could also be mentioned. One big mistake, America. You didn't do nothing for the black community when you were in office. You pandered to the LGBTQ community, though. Oh, yeah, you pandered to them. You lit up the White House in rainbow colors and everything. What'd you do for the black community? What'd you do for America other than just inflame the race tensions in America? Yeah, that's right. You invited Black Lives Matter to the White House. You shamed Dallas police. You inflamed and stirred up racism in this country like nothing before. It wasn't Trump. It was you, Barack Obama. And now you have the audacity to try to shame black brothers to vote for Kamala? She ain't one of us. She's not pro-American. She's pro-illegal immigrant, period. Shame on you. I'm glad my black, brown, and white brothers and sisters are seeing right through you.
Sorry, Obama, I'm a black man and I'm voting for Donald Trump for president, and there is no amount of lecturing or bullying or shaming that you can do that is going to make me change that decision. I am not afraid to vote for Kamala Harris because she is a woman. I refuse to vote for Kamala Harris because she has spent the last 4 years destroying this country. She has spent the last 4 years throwing up the borders to illegal immigrants. She has spent the last 4 years destroying this economy. We have seen over the past couple of months that she is not fit to be president. She can barely speak. She can't articulate a vision. And actually, she's pretty sick. And if you think that I, as a black man, am going to let that waltz into the White House, that is going to get my vote because you're lecturing me and you're bullying me, and you may be the surrogate black dad for a lot of fatherless black boys that are running around this country, but I got a dad. I know who he is, and it ain't you. I'm voting for Donald Trump for president. Take it or leave it. Sorry, Obama.
Hello, America, and hello, Georgia. I'm Vernon Jones, former state representative from the great state of Georgia, and I'm out doing my normal morning jog. By the way, it's a great day to be in Georgia. It's a beautiful fall day. But anyhow, I just had to pause for the cause. I, like many of you, observed and listened and watched Barack Obama last night as he addressed black men. But as a black man, he did everything but address us. What he did, he berated black men. He rebuked black men, even scolded black men, primarily because we will not fall in line and vote for Madam Lock-Up-Her Brother, Kamala Harris, because that's her record. As if black men are too, we can't vote our self-interest, what's best for us, our pocketbook, our families. As if we've been immune to the past 3.5 years, as if we don't know that gas prices have been higher under Kamala Harris, food prices higher under Kamala Harris, interest rates on home mortgages higher under Kamala Harris, and runaway borders under Kamala Harris. But you know what? That's what the liberal white Democratic Party did. They dispatched Barack Obama out there to whip black men back on the plantation to vote Democrat. And you know, President Obama, he meant a lot to black people, but he didn't do anything for black people. And for him to want to come down from his mansion in Martha's Vineyard and tell black men how we should vote, really? You don't even live in Chicago anymore. You left your black community, Barack Obama, and you want to tell us how to vote? We're not having that, and we're not voting for Kamala Harris.
So I'm C.J. Pearson, one of the young black men that President Obama yesterday tried to lecture into supporting Kamala Harris just because she, quote, looks like me. Now, guys, I don't know about y'all, but I think that my ancestors fought far too hard for my right to vote in this country for me to support someone just because they look like me. Especially when that person who looks like me doesn't give a damn about me. Kamala Harris, for her entire political career, hasn't done a single thing for black people, black men, or anyone, actually, for that matter. She failed to secure the border. She hasn't created a single job. She is actually probably uniquely terrible at her job. Barack Obama, another person who didn't do a damn thing for black people when he was president, believes that black men should set aside our disagreements, set aside our grievances, and just take one for the team. Barack, we've been taking one for the team when it comes to supporting the Democrat Party for decades. And what do we have to show for it? Our inner cities are destroyed. Violent crime is up. We are living in poverty in too many communities across this country. That is the reality of progressive policies in this country and all across America. So no, Barack, I'm not going to support Kamala Harris because you said that is my duty as a young black man. No, I'm going to support Donald Trump, the president who actually delivered for black people, brought about the lowest black unemployment rate in our nation's history, the president who actually gave a damn about our community. That's not rocket science, Barack. It's common sense.
To former President Obama, I understand the reservations he might have for the lack of enthusiasm and a lack of excitement for Kamala Harris as there was during his time when he was running as a presidential candidate. But I would say this, they're not the same candidates. Same way I would give up that there might be some men, some black men, who might be a victim of the patriarchy rather than actually not looking at Kamala Harris as a very qualified candidate. At the end of the day, though, you are not Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris is not you. Enthusiasm would be nice, but the numbers show that former President Barack Obama is speaking to the wrong audience, right? The stats show this. At every turn, on almost every single election, whether it's a presidential election or Senate seats, it shows that black men and black women, black people, period, turn out for the Democratic Party at a very high rate. The people you should be speaking to, or you should be lecturing to, and having the same type of, I guess, energy towards are non-black people. But I guess this is where we are as far as what politics now, right? We're very far removed from changing anyone's mind, right? We're at the point now where we're just trying to make sure we don't lose where we have a strong hold, right? So we're trying to make sure that, the 85% of black men that used to vote for you doesn't change to 80. Because if that was not the case, President Obama would be at every single, conference where there's a majority white women and a majority white men, and would be pleading to them the same exact thing he's pleading to black men, which is, hey, Donald Trump didn't grow up like you. Kamala Harris, regardless of color, is the one that grew up more like you from this type of home and etc. But he's not doing that because we are low-key admitting something, which is America is completely divided, and we're just trying to make sure we don't lose an inch. As far as lack of enthusiasm is concerned, and what's driving maybe some of this panic, I think it's just a bunch of contrarian, sort of extreme right-wing black men who have a voice online and tend to grift that are actually probably not going to vote and really are just sharing the same talking points as, the red pill community. They're parroting talking points about who wrote the stimulus checks out and what the economy was like, and really just parroting a lot of fake news as well, right? So if I were the president, I'll probably be a little more careful. Let's keep Kamala Harris sounding like a very qualified candidate. To the people that you are going to lose to just simply because of it is what it is. But what you don't want to do is not only anger the strong base that you have as black men, and there are going to be some black women ready to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, we're another group you should be talking to. There's a group you should be talking to. And the numbers show they're right there. That's where the split happens. Unfortunately, if we're keeping it real, they're the ones that decide the election.
Yo, listen, I'm sure by now you've heard the amazing words from Barack Obama from last night's rally, where he talked about not only getting out the vote, but making sure that you remember why you were voting. But he also talked about January 6th and how Donald Trump did not care about the well-being and concern of then Vice President Mike Pence. And said basically, if Donald Trump didn't care about Mike Pence, what makes you think he's going to care about you? And that is the God's honest truth. I mean, Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump and maintaining power for himself. He does not care about you. That's why we need to get out and vote for Kamala Harris. But before I do that, look at this amazing scenery. I'm in Capri, Italy. Whew. It's so beautiful here.
If Donald Trump does not care that a mob might attack his own vice president, do you think he cares about you? Pennsylvania, we do not need 4 more years of that. We don't need 4 more years of arrogance and bumbling and bluster and division. America's ready to turn the page. We are ready for a better story, one that helps us work together instead of turning against each other. Pennsylvania, we're ready for a President Kamala Harris.
I want Barack Obama and every Democrat out there to know you do not own black people. We are not slaves. Our chains are gone. We do not owe you anything, and we don't have to give you an account for how we choose to vote.
Obama is back on the campaign trail and he's making the case against Donald Trump. But before his guest feature in Pennsylvania, Obama made a surprise visit to Kamala Harris's campaign headquarters in Pittsburgh. It was there that he got candid, maybe a little too candid if you are in the vice president's inner circle tonight. He warned that Harris is underperforming him with black voters, and he had a message specifically for black men.
You just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting down or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable.
He sounded like a slave master in that clip. Sounded like he was on the plantation telling a bunch of people who had run off they don't have the right to do something unless he gives them permission to do it. It's as if he's telling these people, you all just need to shut up and get in line. Do what I tell you to do. How dare you try to think for yourself? How dare you try to reason for yourself? How dare you choose to vote for somebody else who I say you don't have the right to vote for? How dare he try to shame people and tell people that they're misogynists if they don't vote for Kamala Harris? And you say that Donald Trump is the one who's denigrating black people. You are the one, President Obama, who is denigrating these people because you think that they don't have the right to think for themselves. And instead of respecting their right to choose who they want to vote for, you want to shame them into voting for the Democratic candidate because they don't have the right, in your view, to vote for somebody unless you say that they have the right to vote for that person. And I actually saw another creator on this app praising Barack Obama for this stunt he pulled last night, talking about, yeah, he told those black men, he let them know. It is not up to Barack Obama to criticize anybody. It is not up to Barack Obama to try to shame anybody into doing something. That is not his place. He is not nobody's daddy up in there. Black people are not accountable to the Democratic Party. We don't have to give an account for who we choose to vote for or how we choose to vote. The Democratic Party is accountable to us. Kamala Harris is running for president. She is accountable to us. And then our former president actually had the nerve to talk about how disappointed he was in the black community for not supporting Kamala Harris the way they supported him. So when he was running, he got about 95% of the black vote. Joe Biden in 2020 got about 90 or 92% of the black vote. Now we have Kamala Harris in the swing state of Pennsylvania, which is where they were. In that state, She has about 77 or 78% of the black vote as of yesterday. But instead of placing the blame with Kamala Harris, people are turning around like Barack Obama and saying, the problem is you. You're the problem. You're a misogynist. If you don't vote for her, there's something wrong with you. It's not her, it's you.
Obama told you to. Let's talk about it. So yesterday, Barack Obama decided it was a good idea to come out of his house, save Kamala Harris's sinking ship in Pittsburgh, and talk about Trump for a few minutes, and then gather a bunch of black men behind signage that says black male voters, and basically tell them, you better vote for Kamala Harris. The numbers are not looking good, and especially amongst the brothers. You guys supported me when I was running, and I expect you to support her. I expect you to vote for Kamala Harris. It's the audacity for me. First of all, you can't tell any black man what to do ever. That's first of all. Second of all, when is he massa? When is he gonna think that he could go in front of a bunch of black men and tell them what to do? Like, is that what we're doing right now? Like, who made him in charge of what black men do or don't do? So the small percentage of black men who were either going to vote for Kamala Harris or were leaning and undecided but leaning towards her, they're absolutely not going to vote for Kamala Harris. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to vote for Trump, but they're for sure not voting for her. So whatever their little plan was to like play in the emotions of black people or make black men feel like they can't make their own damn decisions, that backfired. It's all over the internet. Barack Obama, that was a bad move. It was a bad move. You did nothing for black men back in the day. So how do you get to come out being like a billionaire telling black men who are working their ass off to pay for things and take care of their families that they better do as you say?
Now, before he got to the big speech, he went to a small meeting with black voters in Pittsburgh, and he was like, you know what? Let's talk about black men because you are not supporting Kamala Harris. And I don't like that. Now, Barack Obama's recent comments on black men voting for Donald Trump have really ignited a firestorm, just like we have seen from the videos, revealing a disturbing truth. Now, beneath the surface of Obama's words lies a patronizing tone, implying that black Americans are incapable of independent thought. But my fellow black brothers and sisters are calling out this insidious attempt to control the narrative. You sound like a slave master trying to get your slaves back on the plantation. Now, these words cut to the heart of the matter. Obama's comments reek of elitism, dismissing the agency and autonomy of black Americans. We're not slaves, our chains are gone, we don't owe you anything. Now, this powerful declaration asserts the freedom to think, choose and vote without being beholden to any party or leader. Now, the real issue here isn't Trump or Obama. It's the entrenched mentality that black Americans must conform to a particular ideology. But we are witnessing a seismic shift. Black Americans are awakening to the realization that their votes, voices, and values matter. No longer will they be taken for granted or treated as a monolithic bloc. Obama's comments have inadvertently exposed the true agenda, maintaining power and control. But my fellow black brothers and sisters are not taking this. Rallying for Kamala Harris, former President Barack Obama spoke directly to American men and characterized Donald Trump as self-centered, saying he doesn't represent real strength. I'm sorry, gentlemen, I've noticed this especially with some men who seem to think some of Trump's behavior, the bullying and the putting people down, is a sign of strength. And I'm here to tell you that's not what real strength is. It never has been, Obama said, drawing heavy applause from the Democratic crowd. Real strength is about working hard and carrying a heavy load without complaining. Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions and telling the truth when it's inconvenient, he said. Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That is what we should want for our daughters and our sons. And that is what I want to see in a president of the United States of America. Obama said Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, represent the character and values a president should have. Now, election surveys suggest a wide gender gap, showing Harris winning women by large margins while struggling with men. Some Democratic strategists worry they risk losing slices of young men, Latino men, and even black men who have expressed openness to Trump or low enthusiasm about voting. Now, Obama took particular umbrage at Trump's spreading false claims about the government's response to hurricane victims and expressed bafflement that some consider Trump to be strong. I want to ask Republicans out there, people who are conservative, who didn't vote for me, didn't agree with me, he said, when did that become okay? Why would we go along with that? He added, even if you had a family member who acted like that, you might still love them, but you'd tell them you got a problem and you wouldn't put them in charge of anything. And yet when Donald Trump lies or cheats or shows utter disregard for our Constitution, when he calls POWs losers or fellow citizens vermin, people make excuses for it. They think it's okay. Obama is particularly focused on reaching African American men in the final weeks before the election. A source familiar with his thinking said, "They're definitely a targeted constituency for him for the next 26 days." Before the rally, Obama spoke to volunteers and expressed his concerns more explicitly. "We have not seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running." Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers, he said, according to a poll report. Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. He said, "You're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that." Now, he called on them to speak to people on the sidelines and urged them not to consider sitting out or supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength. Because that's what being a man is. Putting women down, Obama told them, is not acceptable. Now, addressing voters, he said the decision between Harris and former Trump should be clear. On the one hand, you should have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from these experiences. Adding that Harris, who is Black and Asian American, is focused on policy that will benefit Black communities such as affordable housing and healthcare. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard not just for the communities, but for you as a person. Now, we know that there have been debates over what Barack Obama is saying about Kamala Harris being Black and Asian Americans. Now, Obama's assertion that Harris understands the struggles of the Black community due to her shared experiences has been met with skepticism. And we have seen this. This is something that I've been posting on my channel. I've posted a lot of videos about this. Many argue that her policies and actions as vice president haven't necessarily benefited Black Americans. So what makes anyone think she would do better as president? Now, critics point out the contradictions in Harris's message. On one hand, she's championing policies like affordable housing and healthcare, which are crucial for Black communities, yeah? On the other hand, some question whether her being Black automatically translates to effective leadership for Black Americans. Now, the debate surrounding her racial identity has been ongoing, with some arguing that her experiences as a Black woman are distinct from those of the broader Black community. Others feel that Harris's inaction as vice president raises concerns about her ability to drive meaningful change as president. Like, what's stopping her from implementing these changes now, rather than waiting for the presidency? This lack of coincidence is compounded by the perception that Harris hasn't delivered tangible results for Black Americans during her tenure as vice president. I feel the skepticism surrounding Harris's candidacy stems from a desire for concrete action and results, rather than just shared experiences or identity. As one critic put it, "You sound like a slave master trying to get your slaves back on the plantation," implying that Obama's comments come across as patronizing and dismissive of Black Americans' autonomy. Now, the conversation around Harris's candidacy highlights the complexity of representation and identity in politics. While shared experiences can be valuable, they don't automatically translate to effective leadership. Black Americans deserve more than just symbolic representation. Black Americans deserve tangible results and meaningful change. I don't know what you guys think, but share your thoughts, your views in the comment section down below. Thank you for always watching, and see you in my next video as I bring you another interesting video.